Good evening. Hello. God, can you believe it? It's Wednesday night already. 5th of January. Had a little panic then. But most importantly, it's the first Woman Up Wednesday of 2022. Woohoo! So just want to say a big, massive, warm welcome. Feels weird actually not run an online masterclass. Well, it feels for ages, I think, because of Christmas and everything that's been going on. It does feel like it's been ages. So I can see quite a few of you coming on and joining me now, which means that's good. I am live. So if you are here, please do just drop me a note in the comments. I can see Emma's here. Emma, got my t-shirt on. You got yours on tonight? So yeah, do say hello. What's your name? Where'd you come from? Let me know where you are at. It'd be great to know who is part of the standard Woman Up crew that's here already tonight, and who's new to the whole Woman Up scene. Evening, Amy. Nice to see you, my love. Mireille. Hello, lovely. Happy New Year. Anita's here too. Good evening, Anita. I see there's lots more of you on than that. Emma's saying no, actually, she's not got her Woman Up t-shirt on tonight. She's just put her PJs on. I don't blame you. Why the hell not? Hi, Gemma. Nice to see you as well. Hannah's here. You're isolated in Manchester. Yes, new tonight. I didn't think I recognised your name. Big warm welcome to you, Hannah. You're definitely going to find some lovely people hanging about around here. Just a shame that you're isolating. Good evening, Claire. Hello, my love. So yes, lovely to see lots and lots of you on. I'm probably just going to keep greeting for a few more minutes. I tell you what, I feel dead rusty. I'm really out of practice from doing all of this because I feel like it's been a while since I've run a bunch of tech on my own for a bit of a session online. And it absolutely bamboozled me. I was kind of like, hang on a minute. I have no idea how to share my slides through StreamYard. I figured it out, but what it means is I can't see you at the same time that I'm sharing stuff. So I'm going to either work through them without them being in full slideshow mode, or I'm going to have to keep flicking back and between the two windows. But do you know what? Who cares? It's a bunch of tech. What's important is what we're here to talk about tonight. Load more people have come on and said hello. Evening, Kate Cooper. How are you doing? Nice to see you, Mandy. Helen's here. Hi, love. I don't know who this is because you didn't let StreamYard know what your name was, but hello anyway, because I don't want to miss you out. Soph's here. Hiya. Bethany's here. Hey. Whoever that person is in the bath. Hope you're having a lovely bath. Ruth here. Hey, Ruth. Nice to see you too. I'm not sure who this is either, but thank you. That's a lovely heart. Sarah's here. Not sure who that is either, but so please let StreamYard know. Just above this video in Facebook, it says, let StreamYard know who you are, and then your name comes up, unless you don't want to be identified, in which case that is absolutely fine. Claire's here from Hartford. Kimberly's here. Oh, I love it when you give us me a full intro. Integrative psychologist specialising in psychoaesthetics. Wowee. I bet there's a lot we could learn from you too tonight, Kimberly. No, still can't see your face now. Sorry. There's a few of you like this as unknown users. Hello, Sheila. And a couple more. Down the bottom. Can never get StreamYard to work. You clicked it. And one of you is clearing the dishes, but good headphones on. I was just going to say, actually, first things first tonight, want you to make sure you make yourself comfy. You know, we are in for a good hour to 90 minutes. I'm not going to lie. It is recorded though. So I say that it is recorded. I need to make sure this is recording. I think it is. It records everything in StreamYard. She says, if worst comes to the worst, I'll download the recording from Facebook. It will be fine. But yes, make yourselves comfy. Headphones in if you need them in. Notebooks at the ready if you're a note-taking kind of person. Otherwise, of course, you can just watch this back whenever you want to anyway. So that's fine. Make sure you've got your fave drink in hand. If you're anything like me, every January, I come off the booze for 3 months. So from New Year through to my birthday in March. I go teetotal. Well, say teetotal. I've got a cup of tea. Do you like my mug? This is from one of my members, Evie, who's just moved from Dublin, Ireland to Michigan. Can you believe? Just makes our group even more international. Got me water and a tangerine in case I need that a little bit later on. Oh, and a bit of lip balm because I always get chapped lips when I do this. There we go. Shell from Wales it is. Nick's here too. And Alison can't seem to get the life to work. Interestingly, though, because you've commented on it, I'm not too sure what's happening there for you, Alison. Ruth's testing out her new headphones. Great. Okay. Let me see then, she says, if we can get some of these slides shared so that we can get tonight underway. So I'm going to go for a bit of a screen share. Let's see if I can do it like this. Let's see what this gives you. I reckon rather than me go into whole slideshow mode, you can cope with a little bit of that. Give me the thumbs up if you can cope with a little bit of that. Because if you can, that means I don't have to put it into full slideshow mode. I better make sure you can see the full slide though, haven't I? Yeah. That means I don't have to go into full slideshow mode and I can kind of keep up with things on in the chat at the same time. I've gone a little though in this little window here, haven't I? Hey, Suzanne. Nice to see you too. I will keep flicking them up. Thanks, Emma. Good feedback there for me. It's perfect. Good. Oh, it's so lovely to see so many of you online and live tonight. That's the one thing. It's like, I don't know if anybody else gets this fear, but whenever I'm hosting an event, I think it stems from like birthday parties as a child, but I get the heebie-jeebies. I get really nervous thinking, what if people don't turn up? What if I'm sat there on my own? Or worse, if one person turns up for something? Yeah, it always makes me feel like really kind of unnerved. But there's plenty of you here tonight. Actually, over 150 of you registered for this. And that's a really good show up rate. Katie, it's you. Hello. Becky's here too. Julie's here. And so is Sharon. So don't worry, Sharon, that is absolutely fine. Anyway, what's tonight all about? You've registered for this masterclass. Naturally, it's all about Woman Up. For some of you, you know what Woman Up is all about because you've been hanging around with me for a little while. For others, as you've kind of highlighted when you've been saying hello, you're new to the Woman Up scene. So let me reassure you, I'm going to enlighten you into what this thing is all about this evening, as well as take you through some amazing content that'll make a difference immediately to your life so that you can, precisely as the title says here, woman up and get what you want in life and business in 2022, but whenever you like. All right. So I'm going to start really with a bit of an introduction about me. Now, obviously you can see the 42-year-old version of me here. Right. But this is the 4-year-old version of me. And I like to use this version of me to introduce myself because for me, this image is just the proper representation of the human being that I absolutely know that I am. Okay. This is the 4-year-old version of me. It's the true, the pure, the most authentic version of me. It is, however, the version of me before I was tainted, shall we call it, by society. You know, these were my early formative years where probably I was a little bit protected in a little bit of a bubble before kind of life and the world got its hands on me. I'm guessing you've probably experienced something the same. You know, back then, the 4-year-old version of me, I had a wild imagination. I believed that anything was possible. I was completely fearless. But that soon changed as I kind of started to grow up. I wonder if that happened for you too. You know, actually talk to me tonight in the comments. Feel free to ask questions as we go along. You know, I love it when you get involved in your chat. So if things resonate with you, comment, tell me about them. You know, if it raises questions for you, go ahead, just pop them in the chat. I will definitely make time for questions at the end. I've got hair right in front of my eye at the moment. But if you do want to, I know sometimes you end up forgetting your question by the time it gets to the end. So do feel free to kind of go away and ask as we go along. So yeah, right. After that sort of early period in my life, things started to change. I became a teenager, and this actually is a bit about my story as a teenager. And what I want to kind of underwrite this with is that what was going on for me at this point was that other people were writing my story for me. I didn't know it at the time, but other people were writing my story for me. What I mean by that is, here's some of the things that were applied to me, that were said to me, that were said about me. I have to do this first one in a bit of a voice because it matters. This was Mrs. Lidgerwood, my chemistry teacher. She used to say to me, girls who dye their hair do not pass their exams. I remember my French teacher saying to my mum on parents' evening, she's going to be lucky if she gets a D in French. I won't say who, but somebody once placed a bet on the fact that I would be pregnant before I was 16. I had a boyfriend, when I was about 16, 17, who said to me, you're nothing without me, but I'll mold you into what you need to be. And I was also informed by my father, nonetheless, that I was deluded if I thought that I could pass my driving test after having only 2 lessons and with one of my arms. I'd had both my arms in plaster as it goes, but one of them was still in plaster. So as you can see, all of these things were building up a bit of a view for me on who I was about, what I could potentially achieve. Now the 42-year-old version of me knows that, well, you know what, that's a little bit of a bullshit. That's a little bit of bullshit, because actually, you know what, they picked the wrong girl. And I don't know about you. I meet some people that this applies to, but I meet other people that it's just not the case for. I've always had this fire in my belly, like this deep sense of wanting to fight, of needing to fight, of being a total nonconformist, of being a rule breaker, not wanting to be the same as everybody else. Actually, where some people seek real comfort in feeling normal and like other people, I find real discomfort in that. For me, I get so much more comfort in knowing that I'm a bit different and a bit more unique in that sense. So yeah, just say hi to Rachel. Yeah, Nick saying, she loves that photo. So happy and free. Evening, Channy, nice to meet you. Don't worry if you're late. Yeah, other people remember. Claire also thinks that's outrageous. Yes, thank you. Well, thank you for saying that. So, how that's transpired for me is that, well, you know what? I chose to rewrite my story because I wanted to prove them all wrong. So, you know what? I passed all of my exams, and I passed them all with flying colours, actually. Managed to get a B, as it goes, in French. Surprisingly enough, I wasn't pregnant at 16. I was actually living the summer of my life in Magaluf with my friends. I did marry the boyfriend, okay? But very quickly came to my senses, and 10 months later, I divorced him. And lo and behold, I passed my driving test first time with my arm in plaster and only 2 minor faults. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it farther, as it goes. So, this is a big thing that underpins a lot of what I do, is that for many women, especially for many women, we have had other people writing our stories for us for such a long time. And not all women feel like I did. but I know so many of you do experience it. And I want to make the same possible for other women that I've made for myself, because these days, guess what? I am a #1 best-selling author. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I've even got a life-size version of the book that sits behind me that you can see there. Proud as punch, if you can't tell. I'm remarried. I've got 3 beautiful daughters, which obviously they're 18, 16, and 10. They are a big part of my why, and why it's hugely important for me to drive the female agenda. I am a qualified executive coach, had a very successful corporate career. Now these days I get to work with amazing women. I travel the world hosting retreats for women. So it's possible to break away from some of these things and turn these situations around. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So let's get into the detail a bit. There's a little bit about me, just in case you didn't know me, you weren't familiar with me before. But I suppose the first thing, I love this image actually. I don't know if anybody's ever had a go on, it's an app called Reface. And you can go on and all kinds of like film scenes and famous people, you can put your face into them. So this is me as Wonder Woman. But, the important bit about this is really articulating what woman up means, because you know what, you wouldn't believe, actually, I get a lot of stick for it. If people have jumped to conclusions and made assumptions about what woman up means, their natural association is that it's the female version of man up. And that, let me be straight, it is not that at all. It's not that in the slightest. Woman up is about elevating women. It is about helping women to rise. It's about women stepping into their power, owning their space, about being truly, truly equal, having the same opportunities, yes, as men, but as any equal opportunities, the same as any other person. It's also about women putting themselves first, making themselves a priority, standing up for themselves and standing up for each other. The number of women that I work with that don't trust other women or find it quite bitchy and catty and backstabby, and woman up's about getting rid of some of that stuff so that we can stick together and cheerlead each other. And it is absolutely about knowing what you really want for yourself and going out and making it happen. But here's the thing, right? God, if there's one thing you take from tonight, let it be this, okay? It's that, you know what? I love, in fact, a demonstration, a march, a protest, filling in, generating petitions, putting all your details on a petition, getting lists and lists of names together. And you know what? Stuff like that has made progress for us in the last 100 years. If you look back across, the feminism field in the last 100 years, we've made lots of progress, but it isn't accelerating at the pace that we need it to make the difference, most definitely in our lifetime, and most certainly in the lifetime of the next generation and for our daughters and granddaughters. So the serious message out of this is, we have to take action. We have to do something, okay? And what that means is that each and every one of us makes small cultural shifts in our behavior, what we accept, what we don't accept, what we do, what we don't do, how we behave, the things that we say and do to make changes. There's a great quote from a guy, I love a guy called Simon Sinek. Great motivational speaker, leadership guru, amazing guy. Love that, Hannah. Yay, here, whoop, whoop. I am keeping up with the comments, by the way. I'll do my best to keep flashing them up on the screen. A quote from Simon Sinek says, very simply, don't complain, contribute. All right. Yeah, he's a hero of Emma's too. Yeah, don't complain, contribute. Now, please, I'm going to say something that could land like a ton of flipping bricks now. Okay, so please know that this comes massively from the heart and with hugely good intent. Is that a lot of women, or me included, I've been this woman. Yeah, a lot of women can do the complaining bit really, really well. Love a good moan, can be the biggest fun sponge and the mood hoover going. A total nag. Has anyone ever been called a nag by their children or their partner at home? You know, we tend to be highly skilled at that stuff. It's time to contribute, okay? So please take that in the spirit that it's intended. There we go. We've got a few fans of Simon on the go tonight. Helen, I love you for being up there and going, do you know what? Yeah, I've been that person. Absolutely. Me too. Have been too. So it's time to accelerate some of this. Suzanne's there with you too, Helen, so you're not alone frequently. Okay, so that's what Woman Up is all about, all of those things. And I hope that fires you up. I hope that gives you, you know, a bit of fire in your belly, because if one thing out of this book, I don't know if any of you have seen this on my socials since the book launched in September, is that my mission is, well, I'll call it #WomanUp1000. I am on an absolute mission to get 1,000 women to declare the change, just the small change that they will make to their lives, that means that we all edge closer to woman up. You know, culture, which is fundamentally what we're trying to shift here, society, culture is purely made up by individual people and what they choose to do and not do. So know that cultural change and cultural shift only happens when individual people decide to do something different. Okay, so that's what Woman Up is all about. But, you know, you might be sitting here thinking, right, and big deal, so what? Why bother? Here's a big list of reasons why it's a good idea. I'm not going to say you should, because that would be me masturbating. A good old term that we learned from Roxy, my wonderful, wonderful business partner and friend. Although soon to be not business partner, but that's a good news story, not a bad news story. So here, I'm not going to read all of these out. You can read these for yourself. But what I would love to know, just as you're reading through some of these, is which ones of those would you love to have in your life? You know, are you somebody who really just thinks, I never get what I want? You know, maybe I don't even know what I want. You know, do you feel like you want to say no to things and you can't? Do you feel like, you know, you don't have any control over a lot of things? Do you feel like people don't respect you? Maybe some people, I tell you what, I see this all the time. A lot of women with teenage children who are like, they take the piss out of me. They absolutely take the piss out of me. Maybe you're somebody who really wants to, you know, accelerate your career or grow your business. If you're somebody who's self-employed, maybe you've been one of those women that I have been, that has everything on paper, right? Your life looks amazing on paper, but for some reason, you just don't feel happy. And then because on paper you've got everything, you feel guilty about that and almost ashamed to feel unhappy. Therefore, you won't tell anybody because you think, that's really bad that I feel unhappy. And you're just riddled with guilt about some of that. Yeah, Sharon's in there saying you'd like not to worry and to gain some confidence. It'd definitely be something for you. If there's any more, please feel free, throw them up into the comments if you feel confident enough to do so. But you know what? It's actually really tangible. Some of those things are quite intangible. They're about the way that you feel. They're about the way that you live your life. But fundamentally, they can make a difference to your confidence, to your happiness, and as tangible as helping you to make more money, either be paid more in a salary or get your business flying off the ground. Okay, Suzanne's also saying not to worry and again to gain confidence. And Hannah, just wish you knew what you wanted. You are not alone, Hannah. You are not alone. Not a lot of people will own up to that, and I'll enlighten you with a little bit of something shortly around that. Okay, so that's why this stuff is important. That is why it's worthwhile bothering with. Okay, so the good news is it's underpinned by one single skill, just one. Okay, all of this comes to you as a gift by learning one single skill. All right, and that skill is assertiveness. Okay, it's about being more assertive. Now, here's what happens. A lot of women, the majority of women I know, struggle to be assertive. And there are a small handful that massively overplay it and end up going too far the wrong way. I don't know, which one are you? Are you somebody that just feels like, I just can't tap into that, I'm not assertive at all, you know, at the more passive end of the spectrum? Or are you somebody who, you know, like, yeah, I'm assertive, I get what I want, but then sometimes you go too far the wrong way, overplay it, and end up being a bit of an aggressive alpha female bitch from hell? I've had quite a few people admit to being one of them, actually, particularly if you're a high-flying career woman. Some people get that label quite a bit. Oh, a few more wants have come up from there. So Sarah, sense of control and happiness would be great. Karen, not letting people take the piss out of you, absolutely. And Ruth, defo would like to say no a little more. Nicola, admitting there, amazingly, definitely overplayed this in the past. Becky's on a mission to accelerate her business, work for herself, and also to become more confident and say no with no guilt. Absolutely. Yeah, Ruth's got a hand up. Okay, now, when it comes to assertiveness, quick slurp of me tea. When it comes to assertiveness, it's really worthwhile just spending a minute or two giving you absolute clarity about what it is and what it isn't, because this is fundamentally where a lot of people get it a little bit wrong, a little bit squiffy. So hopefully, quick whiz round this slide, I'll give you a really comprehensive and clear understanding about what this skill actually is. So I'm going to pick out, there's some very specific words in some of these descriptions that are hugely important to being assertive. So let's stand at the start of the top. Right. So number one, being assertive is being able to stand up for your own or for somebody else's rights in a calm and positive way. All right. So there's three things. Well, there's four things in there for me. It's about standing up for yourself. It is also about standing up for other people. So it's about not walking past stuff and thinking, oh, that's got nothing to do with me. You know, a lot that's come out recently in a lot of discrimination situations, you know, particularly around Black Lives Matter, things like that, is it's not okay to say, oh, well, that doesn't affect me. It's important to speak up for things. So your own or somebody else's. It's about rights, okay? So it's definitely about rights and being able to do that in a calm and a positive way. Now, when I say positive, I don't mean all happy clappy, the world's perfect. All right, there's a very specific way of being positive without, you know, you can still have a very obvious, even negative message that's delivered in a positive way, if that makes sense. More will come to light later on as I describe that. So hang on to those couple of things. Moving on from that, someone who behaves confidently and is not frightened to say what they want. Now, confidence, right? Few of you have mentioned confidence. Sadly, we ain't born with a switch on our back to just think, oh yeah, bit more confident, I'll just flip my switch on, shall I? Equally, you can't go and buy some on Amazon and it gets delivered tomorrow. You know, it's not that easy. Confidence isn't a skill in its own right. It's a state. Confidence is a state that you are in when you feel able and capable, skilled and competent at the thing you're trying to do. So basically, if you're not skilled at being assertive, you will never be confident in saying what you want. Hence why then you get frightened, because when you try, you're more likely to screw it up, get a bad result. And then the message that you tell yourself is, see, it all went wrong. Don't do that again. All right. And that's the limiting belief that we start to create for ourselves. Does anybody actually like that, feel frightened and just be like that? I'm not even saying it. Do you chicken out of saying what you want? That'd be interesting. Actually, Helen's saying this. She can be assertive for other people, just struggle when it comes to yourself. Right. I want you to start thinking through tonight, Helen. What's all that about then? That's the question. I want you to get really curious with yourself, to be thinking, well, what's all that about then? Because that means you have got the skill. Right? What that means is there's a mindset blocker, a limiting belief somewhere that is preventing you from deploying it or executing it when it comes to yourself. All right? It's getting deep already, isn't it? Always frightened. Some people always frightened. Yes, Suzanne saying regularly feel frightened when speaking up. So please know the most likely reason for that is because you've probably had a go in the past, got your fingers burnt because you hadn't developed the skill. It's like trying to play cricket for England when you've never had a game of cricket in your life before. You've got to learn the skill of the game to be able to feel confident and you know, not frightened on the pitch, if that makes sense. Okay, so that's the second one. Positive or confident. We've talked about positive, we've talked about confident. The important one about this is in a persistent way. Who's actually persistent? Who's tenacious? Who's, you know, who perseveres? Who's got grit? Or who throws the towel in at the first hurdle? Oh, they're not. I've told them already. They haven't listened. They didn't take a blind bit of notice of me. And they don't go. The number of people who I've been in a coaching session with, and we're dealing with an issue, and I'll say to them, right, tell me what you've tried so far. And they'll say to me, well, I've had a conversation with them about blah, 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 blah. Right. Say, and what happened? They just ignored me. Okay. Then what did you do? What do you mean? What did I do? Well, what did you do next? Nothing. Why? Their lie of the issue. Okay, so there's something about assertiveness that means you are persistent, you've got grit, you are tenacious, you don't give up. Now, what's important is you don't do the whole Einstein thing, you know, definition of insanity, repeatedly doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Okay, it is about, all right, that first one didn't work. What didn't work? Tweak it, go again. That doesn't work, tweak it, go again. Persistence beats resistance. Quote of the century, right? Okay, just catching up on these. Claire, far too worried about other people and hurting, upsetting and annoying them. Sharon says she's like Claire. Yes, Ruth, I've taught you some of this. Glad you've managed to keep those lessons going. Yeah, Mireille, you got yours knocked out of you when you were growing up. Many women did. Girls told her, shh, sit quietly and look pretty in the corner. Keep that shut. Don't cause a fuss. Yeah. Right. This is where I want you to go. Go back to your 4-year-old self. That's why I include her at the beginning, because a lot of this stuff will be embedded back then. Yeah, Ruth, this is me. Okay. Aside from that, so on 2 more. Someone who states their needs and opinions clearly so that people take notice. So number 1, there's 2 things there, needs and opinions. You are allowed to have needs. You are allowed to have an opinion, right? They are both allowed to be different to other people's, all right? Once you've identified those, it's then being able to state them clearly, succinctly. Does anybody suffer from a condition called waffleitis? When you say 27,000 words when 6 would do. Yeah, let me know if you're one of them. Give me a hands up emoji if you're a waffleitiser. And aside from doing it succinctly, it's also in a way that people take notice. So it's about having some influence. Landing your messages with impact is big too. Hey, Emma. Nick says she's working on this for sure. And then I've already said this, last but not least, it is a skill, right? So that means it can be learned, all right? So no more showing up saying, oh no, I'm just not a very assertive person. I wasn't born like that. It's just not in my nature. Bullshit, right? From this point forward, all you need to know, it is a skill. That means anybody can learn it. Now, it might take some people a little longer than others. For some people, like playing cricket, it might come to them quite naturally. For others, they might need to practice for a good while longer, but it's a skill and it can be learned. Okay, so I'm just going to pause at that point, right? Let me know, how's this landing? Is this news? What you're learning so far? Has it made you think about anything differently? Good evening, Jude, my love. Nice to see you. So yes, hands up from both Ruth and Jude. I think that's on the waffleitis situation, if I am correct. Yeah. Helen's gone double hands on that one. Very good. Okie dokie. So clear. That's what it is. So the skill that underpins your ability to woman up is assertiveness. And we're now all on the same page about what assertiveness really is. If you have any more questions about that, please just put them in the chat and I will make sure I will respond to them. Oh, that's so nice to hear, Hannah. Thank you. Okay, so now, in all of the work that I do, we're talking about behavioral change, whether I do it in an executive coaching capacity, in a leadership development capacity, in a one-to-one capacity with a mother of teenagers, does not matter. It's all about behavioral change. And behavioral change always, always, always starts with mindset. Now, you might be familiar quite often. If you spend a bit of time in the online world, you'll hear lots and lots about mindset. For some of you, it might be a bit of a new term. So let me just give you a bit of clarity on why all of this starts with mindset and what I mean by that. So a bit of an image there. I hope you can tell that it's an iceberg, okay? So I want to use the iceberg as a bit of an analogy for us as human beings, okay? Because we're just like an iceberg, okay? The reason that we're like an iceberg is because the most significant thing about an iceberg is that 2/3 of it is hidden beneath the surface. You can't see it, hence why the Titanic hit it. And as human beings, we are the same. Most of our makeup sits beneath the surface. What I mean by that is we are 2/3 of the person we are is not visible to the people that we meet and interact with on a daily basis. Okay. I'm going to jump to the bottom point there, is that we meet each other on a behavioral level. Okay, so the tip of our iceberg, my tip of my iceberg is my behavior. Your tip of your iceberg is your behavior. You can see my behavior. I can see your behavior. That's it. However, there's all this stuff going on underneath the surface that is driving that behavior, that is influencing the behavior that we show up with. Things like our values, our beliefs. And when I say beliefs, I'm talking about our beliefs about ourselves, our beliefs about other people, our beliefs about, our family, our workplace, our society, politics, religion, the world. You can go from the very, very minute beliefs about you all the way up to beliefs that you hold about the world. Okay, all of those beliefs shape our behavior. Our inner voice, you've all got one. Don't make me look like the crazy lady. We've all talked to ourselves. More often than not, that inner voice is more sabotaging than kind. It likes to tell you all the things that you can't do or that you're not good at. Our thoughts, our feelings, and every experience that you have ever had is filed away in a big, massive filing cabinet at the back of your brain. Now, there's too many of them for them to be in your conscious thought on a day-to-day basis, but that doesn't mean that you are not using them to dictate how you show up today. So basically, something that happened to 4-year-old version of me can be playing out in my behavior right now. I won't be aware of it, but it is. Okay. So I want you to know that what typically happens is people will think, all right, okay, I just need to learn this skill of assertiveness and it'll all be fine. And they'll go away and they might read a book about assertiveness and they might try and apply some, simple techniques. They might have a little bit of limited success, but really not that much will change, or very quickly they will revert to type. They'll go back to the way that they used to be. The change is not sustainable. Now, I'm guessing if you want to do something about this, you want it to be sustainable change that is change for life, right? So if you want sustainable change, you must start with mindset. Okay, so it's doing the work underneath the surface around your values, around your beliefs, massively about beliefs, thoughts, feelings, creating some different experiences that will drive different behavior. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Now, that's obviously a lot. So I want to make it simple and straightforward for you. So when it comes to mindset, there are 3 key mindsets that will set you up for success when it comes to your woman up journey. Okay. So if you want to set yourself up for success, 3 mindsets that you want to get a handle on and get happening for you. And they are presence, accountability, and courage. So I'm going to give you a quick whistle-stop tour of these 3 now. So when I say presence, what springs to mind? Give me a bit of comment in the chat about what does it mean to be present. I'm quite keen to know what your thoughts are on this. Equally, you can comment on the other 2 as well, because I'll get to them in a minute. So if you've got a view on what a mindset of accountability would be, tell me what your thoughts are about that. And again, what would be a mindset around courage? My tea's freezing now. Do you hate it when that happens? I'm going to swap for the water. Okay, so I'll come back to your comments in a second, because I guess a few of you might be typing. So let's start with a bit of presence, okay? Now, there's a fabulous lady. I came to learn about presence. Oh, great. Look, as soon as I started, some of the comments come in. So Nick's saying, being present in the moment, listening, seeing and feeling what is happening. Yes, big tick. Hannah, also to believe that you make a difference. Absolutely. I'll bring that to life for you now, actually. So both of those, absolutely on the money. Yes, being present in the moment. And Claire, people notice you. Yes, people notice you. This might sound like a bit of a riddle. You are noticed without doing something noticeable. Does that make sense? So being present isn't about being the loudest, the most boisterous in the room to get noticed. It's being noticed because of your presence. So let me bring this to life, actually. Where I came across presence was from a book by a lady called Patsy Rodenberg. And Patsy is a coach to actors, theatre performers, and she coaches them around their presence in their performance. I'm just going to keep showing these up as we go. Yeah. So as you can imagine, presence to bring a role to life. So a couple of examples. She coached Tom Cruise to reduce his presence, actually, so that he could walk down the street without being noticed. He naturally had very high presence, which meant people just turned heads and noticed him. He wanted to reduce that. And I don't know if you remember the film Silence of the Lambs with Anthony Hopkins. She coached him to, get the intensity for that scene. The only way I had to do a demo for that one. Apologies. That was probably rather unpleasant. She coached him around the intensity for that. So presence is measured in energy. All right. It's the currency that we deal with presence is energy. What energy do you show up with? Okay. And it's on a spectrum. So you can see there, sometimes it can be too little, sometimes it can be too much. There isn't one perfect place. It is about adjusting yourself to the specific interaction, situation, set of circumstances that you are in at any given moment. But it involves these things, right? Your mind, your heart, and your spirit. What I mean by that is, from a mind perspective, it's about, am I in the here and now? So a few of you have said being present in the moment. Okay. So that in the moment thing, it's been around now, hasn't it, for a little while? You know, we should spend more time being in the moment. That's about our mind being in the here and now, almost as if you are in a bubble with what's going on and nothing else in the world matters. Now, if my mind was in the too little space, I have to do it like that to match the screen, don't I? I have to go the opposite way. If I had too little presence in the context of mind, I might be, you know, ruminating over the past, you know, stuff that's already happened. If I've got too much presence in terms of mind, then I might be worrying about the future, what is to come. Does that make sense? So in neither of those situations am I in the here and now. Too little in the past, too much in the future. Whatever feels just right in the moment, here and now. Heart is about, do you genuinely care about the person or the situation, both maybe, around the situation that you are in? Do you genuinely care? Too little, you might be quite apathetic. I quite often use the word mocking, almost, you know, taking the mickey out of something. Too much would be all on your agenda, like a bit pushy. Does that make sense? Spirit, okay, spirit is about a belief that you are doing what is right. Okay. Whereas too little spirit would mean you were cynical. What's the point? Been here, done that, got the t-shirt. Nothing's going to change. Why bother? Too much, again, might be like with heart, in terms of only caring about yourself. Spirit just might be a bit too over the top and a bit too pushy, you know, not really taking into account the pace at which the situation or the other person wants to go. All right. So that's presence as a mindset. It's about tuning in. It's about that when I send my energy out, yeah, to you or somebody else that I'm having an interaction with, it connects with them and it boomerangs back, like it reciprocates, it forms almost like an electrical current. You ever met somebody, just clicked, conversation flows, felt like you've known each other forever, yeah? In perfect presence with each other. Known someone for a while, constantly find them abrasive, conversation's a bit awkward, both speak at the same time, tumbleweed moments, nobody says anything, it's all a bit weird. Out of presence with each other, okay? So presence is what helps you. You know, when you just, some people just walk into a room and people stop and turn. Yeah, they've got gravitas, I think is the word that we often use to describe it. They've got this gravitas. That's this. That's the stuff that makes somebody noticeable without doing anything, you know, big, grand, in that kind of sense. So that's mindset number one, presence. Ask me some questions about that if you want to. Accountability, all right? So accountability is an interesting one. Most people think they're really accountable. Thing is, none of us are all of the time. So I like to use these steps to bring accountability to life. So basically, if you think of them like a staircase, the staircase is split in two halves. The bottom half of the staircase, if you're sitting on one of these bottom steps, of the staircase. These are victim behaviors. Things happen to you, right? These are the mood hoovers and the moaners in life. Immediately, people will spring to mind. You'll be like, oh yeah, I know someone like that. Yeah. There are people who do these 4 things. They stick their head in the sand and pretend things aren't happening. They don't address stuff. When something does happen or goes wrong, like, well, it's not my fault. It's their fault, or such a body's fault, or it's happened because of this, that, the other. It's nothing to do with me. Or they constantly come up with excuses. Well, I couldn't do it because I haven't got time, or the process won't let me do it, or there's just always bullshit excuses of why they couldn't do it. Or the people who cross their fingers and wait and hope. Well, it'll probably all come out in the wash. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. It'll probably just sort itself out if we leave it be. All right. That's not a mindset of accountability. Okay. What is a mindset of accountability, however, are these accountable behaviors. So I call these people the make shit happeners. So are you a mood hoover and a moaner, or a make shit happener? This is the question. These people demonstrate accountable behaviors, and they get to sit on the top steps, right? Because they acknowledge reality. They face it. They will say things like, well, it is what it is. It's right in front of me. If I want something doing about it, it's down to me. They own stuff. So based on what I just said there, if I want something doing about it, I need to look at myself. I need to step up here and do something. It's no good me going, well, that's not my job. That's their job. Well, they might not do it. If I want it to change, I need to do something. I hope you can see how this works in a feminist sense. When we're saying like, oh, yeah, well, women never get an opportunity to do. That's just bottom step behavior. Accountable behavior means we're like, right, well, I'm going to do something different about this. We own it. Nobody else is going to change it. Down to me. Then we find solutions. Right. What are the options? What are the possibilities? We could do this. We could do that. We could do the other. We could do A, B, C, X, Y, Z. We come up with plenty of possible solutions. And then it's about execution. Lots of people are great at coming up with solutions, then they don't do anything. They don't execute. They don't get the job done. Women, oh God, especially in business and in corporate life, I see women take so much stick for this, for not executing well. So, many people can do the 3 steps before it and then just, almost fall at the last hurdle. I like this. I know Emma's a make shit happener. Definitely. Nick's in there. Me too. Hannah's got a question. How do you get the presence right when you're faced with mixed audience with varying personalities, beliefs, and agendas? Brilliant question. It's like spinning plates. Okay. So if you've got them all in the room at the same time, so this is really evident. It's something I've had to deal with all my life, because when I run a training course on anything, in a corporate sense with a room full of people, I've got to be able to be present with all of these people. Here's a useful thing. Presence begets presence. So if you really stick with being present, it commands their presence back. What I often have to do is what I tend to do is have a scale of 1 to 10 in my head. And I judge the room and I think overall, what's the number on the scale that I need? Now, normally, when it's a bigger group, more than one person, multiple people, if you can imagine, I'm just going to pop back to that slide a sec. If we look at that scale, you'd think naturally somewhere around a 5 is going to be about right. And sometimes it is. When I've got a group of people, I always need to go up a peg or 2. So in terms of energy, specifically, I often have to turn it up to a 7, 7.5 sometimes. But then the spinning plates thing is I'm constantly adjusting for various people in the room. Okay, so I will do something very different in terms of the way I interact with different people in the room. It's hard. I never said this was easy. It's simple and straightforward, but it's not necessarily easy. Amazing question. I'm not sure who this is. You're accountable, but do need a tiny, tiny push. We all do, right? That is very normal and is acceptable. I'm not sure who this is. Normally me shoving, lol. So the thing to remember about this is nobody is Superwoman or Wonder Woman and spends their life permanently at the top of these steps, right? That's just not how it is. I, every single day, find myself behaving on one of the bottom steps. Here's what's important. Number one, you've got the self-awareness to spot yourself when you're behaving like that. And then you are very quickly able to make a choice and go, right, I'm behaving unaccountably. Right, what's going to serve me better right now? Right, Jodes, let's just acknowledge the reality, take ownership for this, move on. And then you start to behave very, very differently. So please don't expect yourself to be permanently perched at the top. This is self-awareness. Spot when you're down there, make a choice, move as fast as possible. That's what's important about it. Very good, Becky. I like that a lot. Okay, third mindset. Oh, where have I gone? There we go. Is courage. All right, so you've got presence, you've got accountability. Now let's talk a little bit about courage. So this is the whole thing around earlier when I said some women just don't feel like they can tap into being assertive. They feel more passive. Other people overplay it and go the other way and end up really aggressive. And this is down to the balance of these two things, consideration and courage. I say consideration first because it should always come first. All right. So if you are a more passive person, know that you've got strength to lead with consideration first. What's important to develop, though, is the courage. If you're the reverse, you're a bull in a china shop. I'd feedback before that you're a little bit too, bolshy in some of these situations, then your job will be around flipping the courage and doing consideration first and courage second. But basically, let me bring this to life. As I say, most women have an abundance of consideration, i.e. we just put everybody else's needs before ourselves, but we have very little courage to speak up for what we want. Therefore, we end up in that top left quadrant, the passive quadrant, which means it's lose-win. You lose, you don't get what you want because you don't speak up for yourself. The other person wins because you're that considerate, you just give them what they want, okay? That ends up with a situation where, if it's you, I'm not okay, but the other person is okay, not helpful. The flip side, if you're the bull in the china shop person, is you lead with courage first. This is why this is happening. You end up being seen as aggressive. So you win, the other person loses, okay, which means you're okay, the other person is not, all right? Again, not an ideal situation, not going to get you to where you want to be. It's win, lose in that situation. Common one that a lot of people don't identify with that much is the bottom left, passive aggressive. Is there anyone here who would straight away say, do you know what, I'm a really passive aggressive person? I'm interested to see if anybody does identify as passive aggressive. Interestingly, passive aggressive is lose-lose because it's got low consideration and it's got low courage. So nobody's okay in this situation. So as you're thinking about whether that might be you, here are some indicators. Some people are already saying that, yeah, they are. Ruth saying she can be. Somebody else saying they're passive aggressive. Suzanne saying think can be sometimes. If you are a huffer and a puffer, somebody who goes, I'm fine, rolls your eyes when you're clearly not. I'm fine, Stuart. Don't know what you make a big deal about. I'm fine. Right, that's passive aggressive. Yeah. So huffing and puffing, saying you're fine when you're not, giving people the silent treatment, that's passive aggressive. Sarcasm, who's sarcastic? If you're sarcastic, that's quite passive aggressive. I love being sarcastic. It's one of my favorite pastimes. That doesn't mean I don't do it. I do still be sarcastic, but I know that when I'm not being assertive. I can choose to not be assertive. That's absolutely fine. It just needs to be a conscious choice. So yeah. Ruth says when she feels defensive, yeah, it does trigger passive aggressive behavior. Emma, sometimes, but only with your partner. That's often down to the fact that the love is unconditional, so we feel like we can get away with a little bit more. Anita, you ended up in that position in your last relationship. It's horrible. Yeah, because you end up with a lot of resentment that starts to bubble if it's constant and it's not getting dealt with. In-laws, mother-in-laws, constant passive-aggressive relationship. Yeah, Ray says me too. Yep, sarcasm. Nick's got a hand up and a hand on a face. Yeah, all kinds going on there. Right, it's normal, okay? But just know that it doesn't always serve you and you might choose to do something differently in certain situations moving forward, that's all. So naturally, what you're going for here is top right, assertive, win-win, consideration first. Now, what I mean by that is if we go back to the definition of assertiveness, consideration means that you go in, let's say me and you are having a conversation. If I lead with consideration, I go into our conversation curious to want to know your wants, needs, and opinions, and I have a high desire to meet them for you. Okay? Does that make sense? I go into the conversation curious. I have a genuine desire to want to know your needs, your wants, your opinions, and I would like to satisfy them for you. Okay? Once we've spent a bit of time on that bit of the conversation, I then have the courage, and I've earned permission at this point because I led with consideration to then say, okay, would it now be okay for me to share some of my needs, wants, opinions? Yeah. And then it makes it really easy then once you've done those two things to say, okay, so we've got where you're at, we've got where I'm at. How do we make sure that we can satisfy both of those things or as much of those things as possible? That's what courage in a mindset sense looks like. All right. So 3 mindsets set you up for success: presence, accountability, courage. Okay. But wait, there's more to come. There's more to come. I want to share with you actually something that absolutely changed my life like that in an instant. So hold on to your seats. Are you ready for this? I don't know whether you've ever come across the Assertive Bill of Rights. Oh my God. If you have got limiting beliefs, Helen Cunliffe, this one is for you. All right. If you struggle to be assertive for yourself, but you can do it for other people, your job is to make these 10 statements your new beliefs. So if you need to use these as affirmations whilst you embed them and make them part of your being, so be it. Go ahead. I'm not going to read all 10 of them out, but they've got a flow to them. Okay. But this is the Assertive Bill of Rights is all about you being able to step into your rights as a human being and the rights of other people. You know, so a couple of my favorites in here. Number 4, I have the right to ask, not demand, that other people respond to my needs and wants. And so do you. Yeah, I have the right to do that. I do have a right to ask that you respond to my needs and wants. I can't demand that you do them, but I do have a right. And actually, that makes me feel really empowered. Number 5, I have the right to refuse a request without feeling guilty or selfish. And so do you. I love that. That immediately means I can say no to people and just be like, I don't want to, thank you. Thanks for asking me, but no, I don't want to. Equally, when somebody says no to me, I respect their right to say no. And I don't give them a hard time. Like, that's okay. And you don't have to have any better reason other than you don't want to. That's fine. I'm glad you've taken a pic of them, Helen. She's just put in there, just took a screen. Yeah, take a screenshot of those. I'll send the recording of this out so that you can go back through it. Obviously, it's on the Facebook page anyway, so you can get back to it whenever you want, but so that you've got the recording of it and then you can screenshot whatever you like. So yeah, the Bill of Rights is amazing. The one that I love and that I mentioned earlier, number 8, I actually have the right to decide not to assert myself. For example, to choose not to raise a particular issue. And so do you. You know, quite often my husband will say to me, you've not been very assertive there, have you? But you thought you're supposed to be the assertiveness queen. I'm like, yeah. But I've chosen, I've made a conscious choice, I've decided not to. And I accept the consequences of my choice in that particular situation. That's fine. I'm allowed to do that. That's entirely my choice. So my gift to you, the Assertive Bill of Rights, I can't claim the credit for them. They're not mine. Actually, I'm trying to remember who did write them. I do know. I've written about it in my book. My book tells you who came up with the Assertive Bill of Rights. There's been many guises of them over the years. So I hope you fall in love with those. However, there is one massive point I want to raise. So I was just reading Ruth's comment about she's used number 8 recently, typed emails and deleted them. Yeah, as long as it's been a choice for the right reasons, not that you've been frightened to do what you wanted to do, then that's absolutely fine. So, big fat statement here on the screen. Women are their own worst enemy. Why would I say that? Why would I say women are their own worst enemy? What do you think? What might I mean by that? Actually, you know, let me explain. This for me is a very drastic and dramatic way of saying that, you know what, sometimes we just don't help ourselves. And I don't mean this as a big sweeping statement about every single person, but I know too many of us that don't help ourselves in a lot of situations. So there are too many for me to go through tonight. If you want to know them all, read the book. But one big one that I talk about often. Here's a quick question for you. I want you to, you don't have to declare this rhetorical question, but I do want you to think about how much money and time, how much money and time you spend on things that are mainly to do with your appearance. Okay, that's question number 1. How much money / time do you spend on things that are mainly to do with your appearance? Then I want to ask yourself the question, how much money and time do you spend on your personal development and investing in you as a person? I wonder what the answer to those 2 things would be. Because here's what I hear women say is, we're sick. We're sick of being treated like trophies on men's arms. You know, society's just consumed with what women are supposed to look like, and we're objectified, and, you know, there's more value to us than that. Now, absolutely, all of that is true. But we have to start helping ourselves and putting our money and our time where our mouth is. Because I have interviewed enough women that illustrates that we spend, actually, if you really did the detail and added up, like if you think about makeup, hair, nails, any aesthetic treatments, handbags, shoes, new clothes, jewelry, God, you know, the list could go on. How much money you spend on those things? How much money / time do you spend on your personal development and investing in you as a person? Because actually, if we want to really elevate ourselves, Hannah's saying, especially for our younger, and we've got to show them the way. We really have got to show them the way. So we've got to start putting our money, literally our money, where our mouth is. Stop complaining, contribute, demonstrate our worth, demonstrate our value, get our seat at the table, whatever table that is, whether it's the kitchen dining table at home or whether it's the board table in work, doesn't matter. It's about getting to that point. All right. So some of this, I want you to really focus on doing a fair bit of self-reflection around this and raise your levels of self-awareness. I want you to have a long, hard look in the mirror. All right. Particularly as I take you through as I promised in inviting you to this, the 5 most common mistakes that I see women make. So I'm keen, as I take you through these, which of these 5 apply to you or have applied to you in the past. I'm going to give you some tips for them. So I'm not just going to leave you hanging with the mistakes. I'll give you a few tips for each one. So you can see the 5 of them there. I'm going to go through them one by one. Some of them won't make sense just in a title on the screen there. But I'd love to know as we go through if any of these apply to you. So I'm going to make a start. I think this one came up for a couple of you earlier with the top most common mistake that women make is they have no idea what they want. I'm hoping I've put a lovely song in your head that you'll fall asleep. Well, you won't be able to get to sleep to tonight because you have the Spice Girls whizzing round in your head. So here's typically what happens is, right, so one of the questions I often do when I start coaching a new client is, one of my questions is, what is it that you want for yourself? And I'll get one of 2 responses. I will either get, I don't know, straight away without even thinking about it. I don't know what I want. Or they will proceed to tell me and reel off a massive big list of everything that they don't want. All right. Don't know. Is that you? Nicola's saying, definitely don't know what I want at times. Sarah's straight in there with number 1, actually. So yes, we can tell people generally what we don't want, but we struggle with what we want. All right. So if that's you, know that that's fairly common. For a lot of women, we end up having the belief that the life that maybe we've dreamt of, that we haven't even dared say out loud to some people, because that life isn't for people like us. I always dreamt of writing this book, but for many, many years, I had the belief that people like me didn't write books. Don't know where the flaming hell I got that from, but I was like, me? People like me don't write books. Don't be silly. Linked to that, deep down, we don't believe we deserve it, or maybe we don't believe that we're capable of it. I think maybe for me, some of this was about, am I capable? Can I write a book? And often, what's at the root of some of this stuff is low self-worth and low self-respect. And I have so many women, and actually, talking about young women, teenage daughters, so many young girls who don't have any self-respect because their self-worth is low. So I don't know, does some of that apply to you? But here's some things around how you can avoid it or how you can overcome it. Ruth's in there saying, yeah, that's me. Don't believe you believe that you can't or that you don't deserve it. So if this is you, here's some things that you can do about it. Number 1, uncover and address those self-limiting beliefs. You might not know what they are right now. Unearthing limiting beliefs and addressing them takes a lot of deep work, but it's work worthwhile doing. Tied into that, do some work on your inner critic. Now, limiting beliefs sit with your inner critic, but there are lots and lots of things that you can do I use the phrase to tame your inner critic. Again, in the book, if you've not got the book, it's not supposed to be a sales pitch for my book tonight, but there you go. There's a whole section in there on taming your inner critic. This is a really interesting one. Unconditional love plus unconditional respect plus unconditional positive regard is what gets you self-worth. So if you're sitting there thinking, I've got really low self-worth, those are the 3 things that you're looking to do. Can you love yourself unconditionally, exactly the way you are, with no ifs, buts, maybes, consequences? Can you respect yourself in the same way? And, can you have unconditional positive regard? What I mean by that is, can you care for yourself as a person, nothing else, for the pure fact that you are a person and a human being, and give yourself permission to have your own feelings and to have your own experiences. So that means if you catch yourself saying, "Well, I shouldn't be feeling like this," you have not got unconditional positive regard. Unconditional positive regard would be like, okay, something's going on for me right now. I'm feeling something. What is it? What's all that about? Lean into it, get curious about it, let it happen. That's unconditional positive regard. And that helps you become strong. Becky's also saying she knows what she wants, but not how to achieve it sometimes, or you're nervous of taking that leap. Yeah. Okay. So that's about confidence. So remember, to be confident, you need to work out what the skill is that you need to develop so that you will be able to take that leap and you'll know how to achieve it. And finally, do the hard work of figuring out what it is that you really want and get crystal clear on it. We're all having a vision boarding workshop tomorrow night in my club, in my members club, hosted by the wonderful Emma Dishu. Oh, Emma, my box turned up today. I've got my goodies. Thank you. You know, we're getting super clear on what we want for 2022 tomorrow night with a little party, with little bottles of fizz and all kinds of shenanigans. And we're doing it together as a group. It's hard. So we procrastinate over it. You might sit there for 10 minutes and you just be like, I don't know. And then you go and think about something else, or you go and do something else. It involves doing a bit of hard graft to really sit down, be really open, be really honest with yourself, and figure out what it is that you really want. So that's number one. Number two, Cinderella syndrome. So if you were like, oh, what's Cinderella syndrome? Let me tell you. So this is if you are somebody who tries to please all the people all the time, you spread yourself too thin, you end up really weary all the time, you live your life through other people, or you live out other people's old-fashioned expectations, often your parents. Yeah, and my mum and dad would be disappointed if I do this, right? That's Cinderella syndrome. If you're somebody who bottles stuff up and you end up bitter, twisted, and resentful, sorry, that sounds really harsh, but it kind of is. Or if you are somebody that has zero personal boundaries, or you've got some boundaries, but you don't uphold them and you just let people violate them, quite frankly. So, don't know, do they apply to you? If they do, here's some things that you can do. It's all about setting boundaries. So these are three I say a starter for 10, it's a starter for 3 really, isn't it? Phrases that you can use if you're like, well, how do I set a boundary? So I often think, right, people may not fill in the blank. What will you not accept people doing? Go back to the assertive Bill of Rights if you need to. They can be boundaries. I have the right to ask for blank, X, Y, Z. Or something like, to protect my time and energy, it's okay for me to fill in the blank, right? Step 1, set some. Step 2, communicate them. People don't have a crystal ball, because then you go passive aggressive and start huffing and puffing and giving people the silent treatment when you're like, oh, trying to violate my boundaries. And then step 3, uphold them. People will push them, especially if you've never had them before or you've allowed people to trample them before. If you start behaving differently, they're going to be like, excuse me, why are you being different? So remember, persistence beats resistance, tenacity, grit, assertiveness means you like, no, you uphold them, you say, and you can be straight and say, well, listen, I've made a decision. I'm changing a few things about the way that I live my life, and I'm setting some personal boundaries for my own health and happiness. They are this, this, and this. If you've just violated number 2, I'm not having it. Right? It might be as simple as that. I don't know. So that's how you avoid and overcome that kind of situation, all with setting personal boundaries. Number 3, the oxygen mask fail. I'm sure you're all familiar with this one. You go on an airplane, they doing the safety briefing, and when they're talking about the oxygen mask, what do they always say to you? Please fit your own oxygen mask first before helping somebody else. We often oxygen mask fail when we are in life as women. Anyone do this? Yeah. So you might be oxygen mask failing if you do this. You put everybody else before you. You feel guilty if you do go and do something for yourself, or you do not take care of yourself physically or mentally. All right. Wonder if any of those apply for you. If they are you, here's how you can avoid or overcome them. Number one, change the narrative, rewrite the story, right? If you put yourself first, then here's what happens. You actually give other people a much better version of yourself, which means you can serve them even better. So if you are driven by helping and nurturing and racing like an ambulance to support everybody else, then know that you can do a better job of doing that if you put yourself first. They get a much better quality version of you. If you've worked on your self-worth, back to the first one, then do it for yourself. It's an investment in your future. I don't know if any of you are like me, maybe, I'm just about to turn 43. In the last couple of years, I've really brought it home for me that if I don't take care of myself, I'm not going to be around that much longer. And I want to be around for a while because I'm planning on shipping these kids out as soon as they're like capable of properly looking after themselves. And I'm off to live the life of Riley, doing all the things that I've not done while I've been bringing them up, right? So I'm investing in my future now and I'm taking good care of myself. Tangerine, so that I can do that. On top of that, it's about consistency, have routine and discipline. Listen, I am the bloody worst when it comes to discipline. So I have to have things around me to hold me accountable, people and things like streak charts or apps or somebody who's going to check in on me to make sure I've done it. Prioritize and plan and make these things happen. And make commitments to yourself. Do you know what? Don't let yourself down, just like you wouldn't let anyone else down. Actually, my middle daughter turned 16 in September, and she is really altruistic. She puts all of her friends before herself, so I'm working with her so hard on this to get her putting her own needs first and stepping up. And so, she womans up early doors, ready for being a young woman. And I wrote in her birthday card, disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself. And I will say the same to you. Yeah. Disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself. So Shell's saying, this is definitely me. And yeah, me, Ray, good idea. Try and be your own best friend. What would you say to your best mate? Say it to yourself. Absolutely. Okay. Oh, I ended up with that one. Didn't want that one. What, this one? Bit of swear word alert. I don't think I've swore that much tonight, have I? Done quite well. So, do you give too much of a fuck, quite frankly? Yeah. I'm glad you like that saying, Ruth. Yeah. Ruth's like, loves that saying. So this might be you. Are you too bothered about what other people think? Are you fearful of being judged all the time? Are you scared of how people might react if you speak up? I think somebody said that earlier in the comments. Are you worried about overreacting or being too emotional? Has anybody ever been told you're too emotional? I work with lots of women in work who get told they're too emotional. Are you influenced too easily by other people's opinions? So you might have an opinion, then as soon as somebody quite forceful has their opinion, you forgo your opinion and end up with just coming around to theirs. Hannah's in there with a big fat yes. Okay, if this is you. Number one, realize that people are just far too wrapped up worrying about what people think about them to be judging you. We're all going around worried about being judged. And because we're all tied up in our own heads, we're not present in the here and now to be noticing anything about anybody else, which is just nuts, really, isn't it? It's crazy. And absolutely me, Ray. You save your fucks for magical shit. Jude says, this is me, absolutely. And actually, if you're worried, right, this is a bit tough love coming your way. If you're worried about being judged by someone else, that actually says more about you than it does about them. Because what that normally means is You know, we were looking at the behavior thing before the iceberg. So I judge you by your behavior, but I judge myself by my intent. Equally, you judge yourself by your intent, but you judge me by my behavior. So there's always going to be a mismatch. So if you're worried that somebody else is judging you, that normally means that you spend your time judging other people. So the quickest way to get over number one is to do number two. Just saying. The third thing on this is work out your why. What is your purpose in life? Be clear about what you stand for, have strong values, and that helps you to uphold your opinion. If you're labeled as too emotional, learn to describe your emotion rather than display it. That is absolutely something I can teach you. Again, in my book, I talk a lot about that. And do a fuck assessment. You know, set yourself a fuck budget. There's only so many things we can all give a fuck about, quite frankly. So work out how many fucks you're trying to give, decide how many you think you can healthily give, and allocate them accordingly. You can get quite technical about some of that stuff. But yes, do some work on that. And then the final one in the 5 common mistakes is got no grit. So if you are somebody who gives in too easily, you lack tenacity, perseverance, grit. You believe, like I said earlier, that you weren't born to be assertive. You believe that I'm just too nice. I'm just too nice. Maybe you struggle to articulate yourself clearly, succinctly. Maybe you struggle to say no. Maybe you're somebody who doesn't ever get taken seriously. Or maybe you don't take yourself seriously enough. You play yourself down. You end up in a situation where you've got no credibility, you've got no influence, you've got no respect, whether that's in work or in personal life. This is about grit. So get some. Grit's about perseverance and passion. You know, it's about being tenacious and sticking with something, not throwing the towel in too early. I think I said this earlier, persistence beats resistance. I want you to recognize that you can be assertive and nice at the same time. You can even wear pastel floral tea dress at the same time if you like. It is not red lipstick, shoulder pads, power suit, and sky-high stilettos. Quash. You can quash that perception of assertive women straight away. If you struggle to be succinct, I want you to practice 6-word stories. So can you tell, as your test, can you tell the story of Cinderella in 6 words? I would go, glass slipper fits, get her man. I want your 6 in the chat. Go, go, go. And learn the guilt-free formula for saying no, which, again, is in my book, but the 5 steps are there. Starts with, it's dead easy. You have a word with yourself, which means you give yourself permission, assertive bill of rights, to say no. I always start with a compliment. Oh, thanks for asking me. I'm really flattered that you think that's something I'd be good at. Then I say no and I own it. On this occasion, I'm going to say no. It's not for me. Thank you. Notice I'm rational, not emotional. I pass the uncomfortableness to them. I do not attempt to justify why I can't do it. I'm just choosing not to. And then I change the subject and I move on. Boom. So they're the 5 common mistakes that women make and some quick, easy ways of how you can overcome them. But fundamentally, that is just skimming the surface. All right. What I really, really want you to know about is the magic secret potion. You know, this is the saucy stuff really that sits here within the book. So I want to talk to you about the Woman Up Way. All right. So this is my craft. This is what has been born out of all of the research, the 20 odd years I've been experiencing women in leadership positions. My own life experience has culminated in creating this as a methodology. It's now a trademarked methodology, don't you know? A methodology that helps women to woman up. Okay. So notice at the middle, the 3 mindsets sit there and underpin all of this. So I'm going to just give you a whistle-stop tour of the 7 key elements if you work on these 7 things, you will live the most happy, fulfilling and successful life that you could possibly deserve, whatever that would mean to you. So I'm going to start right at the top of the shop, actually, with identity. Identity is an interesting one, right? I want you to think back to that 4-year-old version of me. That's my real, authentic, my true identity. So this is all about reconnecting with the true you, with the girl that you were born to be. About rewriting stories, addressing limiting beliefs, and getting rid of all the bullshit that's held you back over the years that you've been tainted by through society. It's all about putting the foundations down, building confidence, building self-esteem, building self-worth, so that you absolutely feel like somebody, not a nobody, right? And it's learning to get out of your own way, to quit the self-sabotage, so that you can, as cheesy as it sounds, really step into your best self. Now, it's really important. You can do some work on some of the other elements, but it just doesn't make as much difference, or it's not as sticky if you don't do the work at identity. So it's always step one, doing the work at identity level. The second stage of the woman up way is power. Now, often women cringe at the idea of power. Bit odd. We have a very wonky perception of what power's all about. But actually, in this context, it is about stepping into your own space. It's about figuring out what it is that you really, really want. In fact, never mind just what you want, what you deeply desire, what you might have been too ashamed to say that you really want for all of your life. It's about being able to shamelessly declare that to the world and go out and get it without feeling guilty. It is about developing personal boundaries. It is about learning to say no. And it is absolutely about learning to let go of giving a shit about what other people think, fundamentally. Third one is communication. This is the third step of the woman up way. I like to describe this as to use what your mama gave you. And I don't mean your tits. Right. So if you've got big boobies like me that my mum gave me, I don't mean that stuff. I mean using your vocal dashboard, your words, your tone, your body language to land the message that you want to land with impact, with influence, whether that be in your personal life, whether it be in your work, it really doesn't matter. Our ability to communicate in any area of our life is the difference between whether we are successful or not. You can't not communicate. We always, saying nothing sometimes communicates everything. Okay. So that's a hugely important one. And tied in with this, learning to communicate clearly and succinctly, getting over that whole condition of waffleitis is important when it comes to communication. The fourth one is emotion. So we touched on emotions a little bit earlier. This is about developing emotional intelligence. Can you turn your emotions to your advantage? Yeah. So that you never get labeled as too emotional ever again. A big thing that I focus on in this as well is about hormones. Okay. Because hormones influence our mood, our emotion massively. And I guess for a lot of women we're in our late 30s, throughout all of our 40s, into our early 50s, we're spending a lot of that time navigating massive hormonal changes, whether it's because we're having children and babies, or we're experiencing perimenopausal symptoms, through to actually menopausing and a completely different life on from that. Managing emotion through all of that is huge. It's also about being able to deal with conflict, confrontation, and challenge, and being highly skilled at doing that, doing it confidently, doing it well, so that you get outcomes that you want. Again, whether they're in personal family disagreements or whether they are in work disagreements, it really doesn't matter. And also in this, exploring things like shame, vulnerability, guilt, the green-eyed monster of jealousy, resentment, all of those things, and being able to handle them so much better. Number 5 is relationships. So this is an interesting one because obviously we have lots and lots and lots of different relationships. Fundamentally, it's about the relationship with yourself. It's about self-respect, and it's about self-compassion, being able to be kind to yourself first and foremost before you can engage in any healthy relationship with anybody else. It's about being able to meet your own needs as well as meet the needs of others. And it's about understanding what some of those needs actually are. For many of us, we haven't got a clue. Now, the thing is, if we don't meet our needs consciously, healthily, resourcefully, we will subconsciously meet them unhealthily and unresourcefully. Really simple example. If we're craving certainty, maybe we're at risk of redundancy in work and that makes us feel really stressed and worried. We might crave certainty in drinking a bottle of wine every night. That's an unresourceful and an unhealthy way to meet our need for certainty. Okay, bizarre, I know, but that's how it pans out. So yes, it's about that. It's about then when it's relationships with others. I meet so many women that are in really toxic relationships, whether it's mother-in-law, partner, some of their best friends, really toxic relationships, not to mention, you know, what's the word? Relationships with a lover, you know, somebody you're in love with, proper like partner relationship, gaslighting, coercive behavior. I just can't believe how many people think they're living a normal life and they are subject to really shocking gaslighting behavior day in, day out. We even talk about being more assertive in the bedroom when it comes to relationships. So, you know, are we assertive enough to ask for what we want, what pleases us, what pleasures us in the bedroom? Or are we the one that like, maybe we fake it, or we'll say we've got a headache so we don't just have to do it. Sometimes it's some of that stuff. Leave that one with you. Rhetorical question, obviously, at this stage. Second to last, penultimate, is credibility. This is about being taken seriously, the way that being seen the way you want to be seen, again, by family, by friends, by colleagues, by stakeholders, whoever, okay? It's also about, can you get things done? Can you get things done efficiently, effectively, faster, cheaper, with greater engagement, with high trust? You know, are you easy to be around? Are you easy to do business with? Are you an easy friend, an easy family member to be around? You know, do you inspire people with your honesty, your integrity, your feedback? You know, are you skillful at operating in your zone of genius? And do you surround yourself with the right kind of people? That's an interesting question. There's a guy I love called Jim Rohn, motivational speaker, who says you are the average of the 5 people you spend most time with. If they're all mood hoovers and fun sponges at the bottom of the accountability steps, don't be surprised if that's having a rub off on you. Okay. Last one, luminary. I bloody love this word, luminary. I want to create luminary ladies as part of the Woman Up Way. That is my ultimate goal. What's a luminary lady? It's somebody who has gravitas, who can command that audience, who can turn heads when she walks into a room without being all tits and teeth about it, for sure. Someone who champions and cheerleads and supports other women, who is collaborative, not competitive, not bitchy, not catty, not backstabby, and somebody who inspires the next generation of women, never mind themselves, but, you know, does work in that space to inspire other women. That's what being luminary is all about. So, you know, and I hope that inspires you. I hope that those are things that you want for yourself. Maybe some of them you're like, actually, I've got that nailed. And actually, I really hope there's some of you that you've had a real confidence boost through some of them tonight, that you're like, yeah, do you know what? I'm nailing life with that. Absolutely loving it. And maybe there's something you're like, do you know what? I'd quite like to do a little bit of work on that. So with that in mind, are you ready? Are you ready to woman up? Because I want to give you a big, fat, massive, cuddly invitation to be part of the Woman Up Way, the first ever Woman Up Way. So tonight, I want to open the doors to it as a program. So, you've shown up here, you've spent over an hour and a half with me tonight, or maybe you're catching up on replay later on. I want you to feel inspired to come and join me and be part of this program. So let me just spend a couple of minutes telling you all about it. This will be the first cohort. So you'll be my guinea pigs, but I'm making it very, very special, hopefully to convince you to do so. So here's my promise to you if you decide to come and take part in some of this. To be your mirror and reflect back to you what's really going on. Even when those messages are tougher here, I often get likened to Nanny McPhee. Don't know if you remember in the film where she says to the children, when you need me but do not want me, I must stay. When you want me but no longer need me, I must go. I've been given that feedback before. At first, I was quite offended when somebody said to me, "You're quite like Nanny McPhee, you know." I was like, "Excuse me?" But when they explained, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll take that." That's quite a backhanded compliment, I think. So I make that promise to you. You know, I want to make some friends through this process. I'll be your friend. I'll be your coach. I will help you to make whatever mindset and behavioral changes and choices so that you can live that life that you dream of, and give you all of the tools, all of the support so that you can feel liberated and woman up. These are the 5 things that I pride myself on. They're almost like my stamp, my guarantee. 5 things: inspire you, empower you, educate you, entertain you, and quite funny at times, you know, and most importantly, to liberate you. So I guarantee my promise to you of what you will get from me if you choose to take part in this. Here's how it'll improve your life. I think I've taken you through this. Woman Up absolutely leads to more happiness, more success, more freedom, and the best one for me, more joy in life. You know, it will help you to reconnect with your true identity, to step into your own space, to own your life, maybe for the first time ever, to know what you want and to go out and make it happen. You know, and actually there's some real tangible benefits to that. Deepen your self-worth, increase your happiness, have more freedom, greater self-confidence, reconnect with that true identity, less stress, less worry, less anxiety. Do you know what? I think there's definitely a need for that in the world right now. Feeling liberated and in control of your own destiny, and an abundance of success. It can be as tangible as hard cash in the bank, depending on your goals. And you might be sitting there thinking, I like the sound of it, but how do I know if it's actually right for me? Well, if any of these things apply, it's probably a good shout for you. I think I mentioned earlier, right at the beginning, my life looked good on paper, but I was unhappy and I felt really guilty about that. That's you. Tick. It's for you. If you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the woman staring back some days, it's for you. If you are a bit of a doormat or a people pleaser, or you're a bull in a china shop, maybe an alpha female bitch from hell, it's for you. It's definitely for you. If you are somebody who struggles to say no or to put yourself first, yeah, you got it. It's for you. If you don't know what it is that you really want or that you believe you deserve it, again, it's for you. If you're somebody who struggles to manage your emotions, you're having kind of hormonal issues, definitely for you. If you hate confrontation or conflict, right up your street. You got it. It's for you. And it's for women who want more. If you want more from life, it's absolutely for you. That's fundamentally. So any ticks for any of those, I would say definitely it's something that will be good for you. This is what you'll get. Actually, in the main program, it is a program. Okay, it's not a course in this sense. Combination, live training, coaching, and accountability. The way that it'll be set up, there'll be 8 live lessons. So an introductory module, 7 modules around the Woman Up Way, interspersed with group coaching and consolidation sessions. So 1 lesson, group coaching consolidation, 1 lesson, group coaching consolidation, 1 lesson, group coaching and consolidation, backed up with a Facebook group for accountability and support, not just from me, from each other within your cohort. That's why it's really important for me in this first round to have an amazing and a great group of women to take part in this, so that it massively illustrates the value of not just support from me, but support from each other. So fundamentally, it is a program, but tonight I am going to give you 2 options. All right. There's option 1 and there's option 2. So option 1 is the program. Okay. The program is the Woman Up Way, 16 weeks long. It's a live program. It is delivered live by me. So I said 8 live modules, 8 live group coaching sessions, all get recorded. Full workbooks for every module. You will have unlimited access to the content, so you can go back over it as frequently or as often as you like. It'll be a Monday evening thing that will kick off from the 31st of January. And as I mentioned, there will be a Facebook group for support and accountability. Now, I want to start selling this for £1,000 because I believe it is worth it. That's my aim after this first cohort. And I'm not doing all of that Billy bullshit stuff that we see all of this stuff go on. I think that is a reasonable return for the value that it will absolutely give. It's not a shit, cheap little course. It's a full-on experience and a program. But for this first cohort, I'm going to knock it down to a third. I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to go for it because I want so many of you to bite the bullet and join me. So I am prepared to offer you, on a plate with a big fat bow on it, to come and join me on the full program, this first program, as a guinea pig, £340. I'll even let you spread the cost over the 16 weeks, 4 payments of 85 quid, if it makes it easy for you to do that. All right. No, it's straight after Christmas, and that's a bit tricky, isn't it? There is, however, an option 2. Okay. So if option 1, you love the idea of option 1, but you can't commit to 16 weeks, or even £340 still a bit of a stretch for you at the moment, then you can take the self-study course. All right. So this one's not live and it is set up as a course. The other one is a program. This is a course. There will be the 8 recorded lessons. So you won't, they're not just the recordings from the live ones either. They'll be recorded properly, cleanly. So no interaction with an audience, recorded cleanly. 8 modules, drip fed weekly. So you'll get a new one every week over 8 weeks. Obviously, they are recorded, which means you will have unlimited access to the content. Again, you will have the workbooks for each module. I will start to make those live so you can commence that course on the 31st of January. And you will also have access to the Facebook group for support and accountability. Again, my plan is to sell that course for £497 once I've proven how amazing it is. But for my first cohort, again, I'm willing to do it at a third of the price for 170 quid. So I'll even let you spread the cost of that. You can even do it over 4 payments as well if you want to. I trust you that much that I'll even let that run on a little bit longer than what the program would for you. So I'm intrigued to know what you think. Are you in? Have you got questions? Are you option 1 all the way? Are you, I really want to, might need to do option 2? Have you got questions? What do you want to know? Or are you just like, do you know what? Give me the link, Jodes. Sign me up. Woohoo! Oh, so Becky's already said earlier, she's ready to woman up. I know Becky's in already. Becky's on my board already. I've got 3 ladies on my board already. Becky, you are one of them because I knew you were in. Anita's in with a bit of option 1. Amazing. Woohoo! So I'd love to know what you think. What gets covered in option 1? Anna, so each module will be, you know, when I took you through the 7 steps of the Woman Up Way, each module will be focused on module 1 will be the introduction with the mindsets. Number 2 will be then identity. Then we'll go on to power, then emotion, communication, then emotion. So each module will focus on each particular section and they will be crammed full. So everything that gets talked about in my book, I will teach fully in each of those sessions for you. Ruth's giving me a me. Well, I need to tell you how you go about doing it then, don't I? I'm spending too long looking at that. So enrollment's open and it will be open until the 31st. So I know we start on the night of the 31st, but you can enroll up till then because I know it's January and quite often we all got paid early in December. And so it's a bit of a long stretch till January's payday. We bought all our Christmas presents and you might need to wait till payday before you can get started. Please just message me if you're like, actually, I do want to get in on this, but I'm going to have to be a payday person because I'd still love to know that you're definitely in. Just let me know when to expect you. You can just message me separately about that. Anna's asking, what time's on a Monday? I'm planning for a 7 o'clocker, 7 till about 8:30. It'll be a good 90 minutes each module, Anna. Oh, I'm glad it couldn't be better timing for you, Neats, definitely. So there's your links. I've made them nice, easy links because obviously they're not very clickable, but I'm just going to see if it will let me drop them into the chat to make it easy for you. I've got something else special for you, so don't go missing just yet. Right. This might only show up if you're watching on my main Facebook page. If you are watching in the group, the Ladies Life Lounge for community for women who want more, you might not see that comment go up. So if you need the link, come to the broadcast on my main page. So there's the 16-week live program link. Let me get rid of that full stop after that one. And here is the self-study link. Becky, you don't need to sign up. Okay. You're already signed up. You're sorted. Here's a self-study link coming in. Or obviously, like, write it down on a pad off the screen if that helps. Okay, let me just get rid of that. So you've got the 2 links in there. Oh, good, Anna. I'm glad that works. Fabulous. Because I've got one last lovely little gift for you. Because maybe you're still not sure. Okay, maybe you're still not sure if this is for you. So I love a bit of science. I love a bit of assessment, you know, and be able to judge whether something's right for you or not. So I have developed a test, not like a exam test, but a profile. So a series of questions in a self-assessment that you can do that will then give you some scores overall and in each of the 7 areas. So if you want to take the test, see what that shows you, and then I'm just going to try and copy this actually, so that I can put that in the chat. See how organised I am, can't you? Then here's the link. You can take the test. So, it's meaty because this one thing I want you to know about this, if you've done any other programs or courses online before, I've done a fair few, and in a lot of them, I've been really disappointed in what I've got for what I've paid for. And I want to make this something that you will never, ever say that about. I want you to be like, oh my God, I can't believe just how much value I got out of that. So know that this is full on, this is proper. It will take a bit of commitment and showing up. But even if you take the test has got a number of questions in it. Sit down with a cup of tea, give yourself a good half an hour to work through it and see what it shows up for you. Oh, Kimberly, that's such a lovely comment. Oh, luminosity. Brilliant. I couldn't ask for something better to be said. That is wonderful. I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. And yeah, you've had a good time. And please, look, you all registered for this so that you didn't miss it. This is broadcast live onto my Facebook page. So if you've got friends or family or work colleagues that you think, God, you know what, they'd love this, just tag them in it now. Below this post on Facebook, just tag them in it and be like, Sarah, watch this. You know, I think it's perfect for you. Because the more, obviously, Woman Up 1000, that's my 2022 mission. And hopefully it's you lovely lot that are the first contributors to that. But I've got a bunch that have read my book. I think I'm up to about 22 people that have taken the time to email me with what's the one small change they're making to Woman Up. So I think we're at 22. Let's see if we can get that number higher through this cohort. Oh, Lorna, hello. That's the first time I've noticed that a comment from you. I hope I haven't missed any others. I'm glad you've thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me turn my slides off for a minute. Hold on one sec so you can see my face. There we go. So, yeah, I've been 2 hours, haven't I? Well, just so you know, it gives you a bit of a heads up. I like to go into proper detail and do things properly. So I know I probably take a fair bit of time, but you are worth it. It is worth it. And I hope that you make the decision to come and join me on this first cohort. As I mentioned, you have got until the 31st to sign up at that offer price. Okay. Message me with any questions that you've got. If you wait until payday, again, message me and just let me know that you're definitely in and whether you're doing option 1 or option 2 and that you'll be joining when you get paid. That is absolutely fine. Oh, Sarah, I'm glad you enjoyed it and the book. Good. Oh, thank you, Mireille. Woo! Can't wait for a bit of vision boarding tomorrow night. You've missed a bit because of the kids, but we'll catch up. No worries. It's there for you to catch up whenever. Are there any number restrictions? I haven't really thought about that, Hannah, to be honest. Listen, if the cohort got to more than 16, 20 max, bearing in mind that at 20, not everybody would show up all of the time live, then I probably would have to say I'm going to have to close because it's important to me to make sure that people get the time and attention. That's on the program. Self-study, no number of restrictions on that. I'd like as many people as possible to do that. You're welcome, Helen. It's going to be your year because lots of reasons. Oh, brilliant. What a wonderful commitment to yourself, Sharon. And I am massively looking forward to spending more time with you in Santorini on the retreat this year. I've got new retreats coming out soon, guys, as well. If you've missed out so far on the retreats. Amazing. Yes, I'll make sure it feels personal. Don't you worry. You will get a proper personal experience from me. I guarantee it. I want to know the ins and outs of every single person's life that embarks on this program. Right? You will probably get a very personal service. Yes. Mandy, I would love to see you there. If I can help with any questions, please just let me know. Anna, yay, you've got the book. It is a must read. I'm glad. And actually, I forgot to tell you what happened to that. I must have forgot to put the slide in. Anybody who signs up within the first 24 hours, so call it before bedtime tomorrow night, we'll go midnight tomorrow night, I will make sure you all get a luxury Woman Up goodie bag. So in that bag will be a signed copy of my book, I know you might already have a copy, but it might not be signed unless you came to my book launch party. To get a signed copy of this, you can choose your own Woman Up t-shirt from my range. I do have a range of merch. You'll get some lovely Woman Up branded stationery, notebook, pens, badge, key ring, and a few other lovely little goodies in there. So if you sign up in the next 24 hours, I will make sure you get one of those as soon as we start. As soon as I know exact numbers, I'll get on my production line of goodie bags and get them all sent out. All right, so that's whether you sign up to option 1 or option 2, doesn't matter. This is for the accountable action takers, the executors, a reward, a prize, a present for making a positive decision for themselves and going for it straight away in the next 24 hours. All right, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to go and have one more cup of tea and watch the last episode of Anne. Is anyone watching it? Hillsborough disaster, fourth part drama. Yeah, last one tonight. All right, I'm going to love you and leave you. I have enjoyed so much. Thank you for being amazing, for talking to me, for participating, for getting involved. And I hope to see so many of you in this first exciting cohort over the next few months. All right, have a lovely evening. See you soon. Mwah.